Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com here to talk about WWE Royal Rumble the day after the show. This is Sunday, the event being on Saturday. I decided to do the show the next day just to match up my schedule a little bit better. Hope you're all okay with that. Obviously, a lot to get into here with title matches, Royal Rumbles, surprise returns and appearances, everything in between. Lots to dig into. Before I do, just want to remind you all this show, like everything that we do here, is available on all of our streaming platforms, SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be. We've got you covered. Now, of course, I am by myself tonight. John was at the show in St. Louis, so of course he's traveling, getting back to his home, and he's on the road. Safe travels to him. But yes, right off the bat, Nestor Curse, friend of the show, saying that Rumble sucked. Well, my friend, yeah. Honestly, I wound up watching the Women's Royal Rumble match last night, roughly the first hour. I actually saw Roman and Seth as well, so that opened the show, and I thought a fairly decent opening hour. And thankfully, I chose at that point to go to bed and did not stay up until just about, I think it must have ran till about midnight. I think I checked the runtime was almost 4 hours. So yes, thankfully I got to watch it this morning in a pretty low key setting. Skip through the commercials and a much more convenient and expedient viewing experience for me. But if you're watching the show live, I can imagine how that might be a little frustrating for me, even for me as someone just watching it again in a little more manageable context without maybe some of those complaints. I think it was pretty frustrating, and that's just saying it was about 11 p.m. over here. And I checked the runtime so I think for me would have probably been about midnight for me over here on the East Coast. But long show, and the long show not helped at all by some things we wind up seeing. Rich Murphy chipping in about some of the Royal Rumble, the match itself. But Stephen Chambers helping me start off chronologically here. Well, don't worry, Rich. We will talk all about the Rumbles. Don't you worry. But to counteract Nessa's point, DJ saying the show was great. You're very curious to see what you all thought about it. Mike Garrity saying the long shows don't bother him. Long shows don't bother me. But when they're packed with some things that are a little frustrating or disappointing, that makes it feel longer, that makes it feel more disappointing. So that's why it does bother me in that sense. I'm not saying specifically they bother me by default, but if it's a good show, hey, I'll watch a long show. Like same philosophy with movies. I'll watch a long movie if it's good, but I don't want to necessarily sit down and watch a movie that's got frustrating things or things that I don't really agree with or whatever it might be. But being positive, Nesha agreeing that it's nice to have the next day here be a Sunday rather than usually for a WWE pay-per-view or premium live event. It's on they're usually on Sundays, so the next day is Monday. That can be pretty hard. On a Saturday, you get the next day. It's still the weekend, so that is beneficial as well. But yes, let's get right into it. We had Stephen Chambers saying that he's really surprised they started off with Roman and Seth. Yeah, I was trying to think what would be the best opener here, and I didn't think it would be Roman and Seth. I thought that would be, in some ways, maybe the match we saw right before the Men's Rumble. But of course, that wouldn't excite. I don't know. Hindsight's 2020. I was surprised as well. I agree with Steven. I was surprised that this went on first. I guess in some ways, I don't know what else to pick. I mean, these two guys were the ones that were ready to go out there and have a really kind of good, fast paced, not even fast paced, but a very very compelling, exciting match. And Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar was fun. It was good, but this was kind of really got the crowd off to a hot start. Part of that being because we saw Seth Rollins come out with the Shield music, with the Shield outfit. This was, to me, one of the very best parts of the show. I thought this was great. This is what the storyline's all about, how Seth is playing mind games with Roman and really just leaning on that history. This was an absolute blast from the past, trip on memory lane, whatever you want to say. I thought this was great. I liked it a lot. It made perfect sense. I saw some people kind of wondering if they would do it. I mean, this is one of the things where it made all sense in the world to do it. And this is thankfully one of those times that the WWE did something that made all the sense in the world to do. DJ saying, yes, hashtag believe in the Shield. I grew up with the Shield. I loved that run, and there's just so much history there. So it was very cool to have them not even just reference, to have them really incorporate this to such a degree. And Seth walking out all, so cocky and just really playing with Roman. That's just saying playing the mind games was very good. Saying it was maybe the only good thing here. Well, I do think it was a very good match. I think a lot of the times here with Roman in this title reign, he tells really good, not just him, he and his opponent and whoever's kind of putting the match together. It's really about that storytelling. We saw it when he faced Edge, when he faced Cena. Usually these matches are very story driven, and I mean I think they're usually kind of some of the best parts of the show, at least for his title offenses. It's pretty much a string of no misses. They've all been very good. This was no exception. I thought him and Seth, obviously they have a lot of chemistry. They're very, very good together. They know each other very well, and I enjoyed it a lot. I thought, again, the in-ring action was great. They told you really good story. Seth really, really messing with Roman, and also knowing him very well. The whole story was built around Roman not having beaten Seth. We really, in any high-profile singles match, and not continued here. He did not pin Seth Rollins. So that's definitely something that they can, and I would hope that they do revisit that at some point. Seth had Roman scouted at pretty much every point. There was a flurry early on where Seth was really just in control, pretty much for the solid first kind of portion of the match, where he had Roman scouted. He knew what Roman was going to do, and at one point he hit the stomp early on, and I kind of thought, are they going to do like a shocking title switch right off the bat just to to throw a swerve at us like that? Thankfully, no. Thankfully, the match continued, and there were just a lot of things like that where they had a couple good near falls. Roman speared Seth. Seth, I think, hit another stomp at one point. Seth also shield bombed Roman through the announce table. That was a cool callback as well. So yeah, this was a very good match. I liked it a lot. And then we got to the ending. So Roman, I believe, hit the spear, and then he didn't go for the pin. Seth went for the shield fist bump, saying, "Come on, brother, fist bump me." And again, those mind games, playing with him, playing with Roman's emotions, just really good stuff at that point. And then the fist bump really just made Roman snap. He just lost it, choked Seth out, locked him in the guillotine, which he's won matches with. But the one was kind of weird, if I remember correctly. The referee, so Roman had the guillotine, and the referee raised Seth's arm, and it fell on the ropes. So Roman should have had to break the count, and of course he had the 5 count, but he didn't follow it. He lost control. He was just so enraged, and he wanted to really punish Seth and hurt him. And I think at that point, Roman, the ref was like, "You have to let him go. You have to let him go." And Roman said, he won't let me let go. So really, really good storytelling here. But then of course Roman got disqualified, and that should point out, yes, that was not expected. No, I very much thought there would be shenanigans, interference, maybe a low blow and a decisive pinfall, but not a DQ finish. So with that in mind, Stephen Chambers saying the feud's not over. He's predicting a rematch in Saudi Arabia at the Elimination Chamber. That was my first thought as well. I think that would make sense for a lot of reasons. Or maybe we'll see. I know maybe they'll be together in the Elimination Chamber. Craig's asking where John is. He went to the show in St. Louis last night, so he's on the road traveling, unable to join me tonight. Of course, we'll get his thoughts about the Rumble and everything tomorrow on the Raw show. But here I am talking about what we did see yesterday, the Rumble. In the meantime, so hopefully you're all good with that. Nestor, again, predicting that we will see Roman and Seth again. I mean, I would hope so. I think that they really kind of need to have some kind of stipulation match, maybe ideally, Extreme Rules or maybe last minute standing. That'd be fun. Or maybe it's something that's still pinfall based, because then that way, in theory, Roman could actually pin Seth. So, I mean, I was pretty frustrated by the ending. I thought it wasn't the best call to have it go with a DQ like that, really because WWE does DQs so often that I'm just kind of conditioned, maybe self-conditioned to be pretty frustrated by them. When they have an actual function with a story, in this case with Roman really just kind of losing control, I'm more open to them. But there still is that pattern of just that they do it so much that it's like, are you really going to do this again? In a vacuum, I think I liked it, like the story they were telling, and especially assuming we get a rematch, and then in theory that Roman would actually get the pinfall there to actually get that win over Seth, to really, to have that progression, I think will be very, very good. So yeah, I think at this point I would expect a rematch. And I'm just trying to think of the time. We know that the Saudi Arabia show, the Elimination Chamber, is the 19th, so that is about three weeks from called yesterday. We have next Saturday the one after that, then it's showtime. So about 2 weeks really to build the match itself. And I'm just trying to think. They got to have presumably one of the titles in the Elimination Chamber, and I don't know if that's Bobby Lashley defending the WWE title. We'll talk about that in a minute, but it's tough. I think that we will see it again there, and that would make sense though. So good match. I can't really decisively judge it until we really know where the storyline goes in terms of, are we going to rematch or are they going to kind of circle back? And yes, even exactly, it does depend what Brock announces on Raw. We'll circle back to that later. Obviously, Brock Lesnar definitely going to play a very, very big role on the road to WrestleMania. But I do want to try and stick it to the chronological order here. So that being said, after the Roman Seth match, it was, of course, time for the Women's Royal Rumble match. Now, of course, I think it was maybe Friday or so, like pretty late in the week, the reports started swirling that Ronda Rousey was in talks to return to WWE. They're trying to get her back. And like once that report was out there, you kind of had to feel like she's coming back. Like, yeah, once those rumors start swirling, it's, to me at least, I would think, by and large, where there's smoke, there's fire. So the reports around is coming back. We're almost on Saturday. Kind of had to assume she'd be in the match, and then once you kind of assume that, you've got to kind of figure she's going to win the match. It's Ronda Rousey. She has not been around since WrestleMania 35. That is just about 3 years ago, really, if I'm doing math correctly. It feels like forever ago, at least. Boy, yeah. So that she didn't wind up entering until very late in the match, but of course the first two wound up being Sasha Banks and Melina, the legendary Melina, former women's champion. She was wrestling when I was a kid, so definitely have a soft spot in my heart for her. Sasha came back on SmackDown, to kind of set up her return, and in some ways, I don't know. I think the theory in bringing her back on SmackDown was to kind of not ever get lost in the shuffle of the surprises with Ronda and everything, but at the same time, she was the first overall entrant, and so it wasn't really that exciting to see her. Like, we knew she was back, she'd be in the Rumble, but I digress. That's 2020, hindsight being 2020. Nash just thinks she loves Melina. I really like Melina as well. So she wasn't the second entrant. She had her classic entrance to the red carpet. She's doing this pose off of Sasha. And I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. Whoever does the Wikipedia page does a great job of compiling the match times and everything. So according to Wikipedia, at least, not the most reliable source, obviously, but this says that Melina was in the match for 53 seconds. I'm like, come on. That is just... that kind of set the stage for the entire match. So you've got these legends, these I won't say old timers, people from the past coming in. And I did research after I watched the match now earlier today. I think, including Ronda Rousey, 15 of the 30 entrants in this match were either free agents or veterans, legends, whatever you want to call them. They weren't people actively on the WWE roster. And to me, it's not crazy because we've talked about this for a while. WWE has cut a lot of people. They don't have the depth they once did. You had to figure they need to make up the numbers somehow. But Steven, this is definitely one of my big issues with the match here. Yes, no NXT wrestlers at all. Not in this match on the women's side, not in the men's match. And to me, you've got Io Shirai, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez, any number of people on the NXT side of things, absolutely ready to go there. And to not have them in the match at all, even for a meaningless cameo, and granted, maybe that wouldn't have been for the best anyway, but to not give NXT that rub, if you will. That was very disappointing. Maybe I talked myself into assuming that would happen, and that's my fault. But at the same time, they usually have some NXT inclusion. That's saying it's not normal to not have any NXT, even with the NXT revamp, or maybe even especially because of that. I would expect to see them, shine a light on NXT. Have, again, if it was Raquel Gonzalez, Mandy Rose, someone that was on the main roster, somebody, even one person, and you're telling me that of the 14 non-contracted, I guess for lack of a better word, non-contracted performers, you're not going to have anybody from NXT. I think that's very disappointing. But we did get to see Melina right off the bat here with Ness just saying she loves Melina. Melina's great, and Mike Grady thinks she looks amazing, and wish she lasted longer. Yes, 53 seconds. Just not it's disappointing because you bring it back to a nice, very brief moment in the sun, and that's it. And very disappointing in that sense. And that's pointing out she can go back to the NWA and shine there. She's been doing great work in the NWA. Definitely glad that she's still, performing, wrestling. She's definitely got a great track record in that sense. As we're getting some comments about the men's rumble, don't worry, we'll talk all about that. Don't you worry. But do want to run through the women's rumble here. So I guess I'll just run through some of the surprise entrants here. Of course, we had Kelly Kelly. Now, Kelly Kelly was wrestling when I was a kid. She used to be one of my favorites. So it's always good to see her back. I like seeing that. We had Michelle McCool, former women's champion. She's great. like her last. She actually lasted 20 minutes. She was definitely the exception in this case. She had a pretty good round of the match, lasted 20 minutes, locked up with Mickie James at one point. Good, very good to hear. She was definitely one of the top women stars when I was first getting into wrestling. So very cool to see that. Stephen Chambers pointing out a highlight here with Ivory in her right defensive gear. That was very cool. Molly Holly in her superhero gear. Now, of course, Nikki ASH attacked Molly Holly. Of course, there can only be one superhero or almost a superhero around these parts. I thought that was a fun touch. She attacked her on the outside. But Ivory being in the right defensive thing, that was pretty cool. And then she wound up being in the match for a very short amount of time. I'm looking right now. So yeah, 25 seconds. She was cutting a promo on her way to the ring, 25 seconds. But she got to cut a promo to have maybe more of a memorable run of the Rumble there. We had Cameron, former Funkadactyl, formerly Naomi's tag team partner there, and Sonya Deville made her 51 seconds after she entered the match. Good to see Cameron. She's doing great stuff. I think she's released a couple songs, doing good things on the side there. And that's to point out one person we didn't see, or maybe two. She's saying, no Bailey, boo. I'll talk about Bailey in a minute. Of course, if she's not cleared, then there's, we can't fault them for not using her. If she's not cleared to go, if she hasn't fully recovered yet, that's not their fault. And she's saying, no Trish Stratus. Of course, she's one of the biggest legends they have. But, they had plenty of legends. Otherwise, it wouldn't be good to see Trish. Or if I don't know, we saw her at SummerSlam 19. Maybe she decided to actually retire. Likewise, Stephen Chambers went. We did not see Asuka. That had been a name that was floated around. No Asuka. That is disappointing. I was hoping to see her back. Her absence continues. This would have been a great time to bring her back, even if it was just a brief kind of, just like some of these legends, bring her back for like 2 minutes. I would hope they wouldn't do that. But just bring her back, start getting her back in the fold. That doesn't happen. So I don't know what's going on there. I cannot report with any accuracy what's going on with that one. As soon as I hear more, as soon as a valid source reports something about that, I will pass that along through WrestleZone. So stay tuned for more details as they become available. But other legends here, I mentioned Ivory. The Bella Twins, of course, they were announced ahead of time. They announced a lot of these names in advance. So even on some of this excitement, definitely didn't. There was no excitement because they already announced it and officially confirmed it. Likewise, Mickie James, the Impact Knockouts Women's Champion. It was very cool to have her in the match. She had a Knockouts title on the way to the ring. Very, very cool. Very historic moment in that sense. So that was nice to see. And she actually lasted a little bit in the match, 11 minutes, 40 seconds, going to Wikipedia again. But at the very least, just to have her sheer presence in the match to break down that door, always good to see that. I can't say always good to see. We haven't seen that before, so hopefully that will lead to more crossovers, more collaboration going forward. I'd make it no secret. I like to see AEW, what they're doing, collaborating with people. WWE doesn't do that so much, at least these days. So hopefully this may have been kind of the first, maybe a baby step in that direction. So very happy to see that and hopeful for more there. Next one out, yes, she used her Impact theme. Also good to see. Something we haven't gotten to hear on the WWE side of things. Summer Rae, she was also announced at a time. I don't think Alicia Fox was announced at a time. She was one of the divas when I was first getting into wrestling again. A lot of these names were right up my alley in the sense of Kelly, Alicia Fox, a bunch of performers that I was watching when I was a kid. So kind of a nostalgia thing for me. But otherwise, we saw Sarah Logan. She was one of the surprises, of course, former Riot Squad member. She had a nice, very, very emotional reunion with her fellow Riot Squad member, Liv Morgan. That was there. Liv was crying. Everyone was crying. It was very, very emotional. I just ran an article for WrestleZone. They had a digital exclusive backstage where Sarah and Liv was like just bawling her eyes out. They hugged. Very, very emotional. Sarah got released April of 2020, the first round of real cuts they did due to the pandemic. So she has not been around in a while. She had a kid. So congratulations to her on that one. She's doing a lot of stuff on the sides. She said she's stepping away from wrestling, but she was back here yesterday. So that was good to see and very good to see them have that emotional reunion. Lita, obviously the legendary Lita, had a nice round of the match as well. She lasted 10 minutes. And some people thought that she would maybe win. I know that was one kind of theory or prediction going around, maybe to have her face Charlotte eventually. That could be on the table, but we got Steven starting to talk about the reports. So what we started to see after the show, we'll get into that as well. But lastly for the match here, of course, I mentioned Mighty Molly earlier, but yes, that leads us to Ronda Rousey, number 28, came out. She eliminated 4 people and won the match. So, as I mentioned earlier, Ronda Rousey, those reports started going around, and she won, which kind of had to figure. And to me, this is one of those things where I know I'm not trying to be a hypocrite or anything. This is I'm in the line of work, but some of these things I'm like, I would much rather not have this spoiled for me as a fan. Even though I'm in the line of, I write about this stuff. It's my job to report it or to share that news. I feel this is maybe more of a general criticism these days. There really aren't any surprises these days. So Ronda's the report breaks that she's in talks to return. They're trying to bring her in for the show. Again, you very much assume they're going to get her. She's going to be at the show. She's going to win. They're not going to have her be in the match and lose. I was feeling pretty certain about that one, and that was the case. She won the match, and as Stephen Chambers noting, Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, I think it was on the latest session of Wrestling Observer Radio, reported that at least right now, the plan is for Ronda to face Charlotte Flair. The match came down to Ronda and Charlotte, which was an interesting final 2. Charlotte being the SmackDown Women's Champion. So with Ronda eliminating Charlotte, I don't know, that just kind of seems odd to me to have her eliminate her last and then be like, oh, now I want your title. Like, it makes a weird kind of sense. Like, oh, I eliminated you from the Rumble, therefore I know I can beat you in a match. Like, I can kind of see the logic, but at the same time, I don't know. I'm not digging it. Like, of course, as soon as the report broke that she might be coming back, everybody was like, oh, she's got to face Becky. She's got to face Becky. That's what they got to do. They have unfinished history. We never got that match, whereas Ronda has faced Charlotte. I would agree. And I think that'd be more appealing at this point. Now, part of that report was that Ronda will be around. I think it's a 1-year contract, she might stay longer than that. And then in theory, the plan would be for her to face Becky at WrestleMania 39. That's a long way away, and a lot can change between now and the build to WrestleMania 39. That's the thing. So I think in general these days, especially, you never know what's going to happen. So in that, to me, it's like you got to kind of run the matches. You got to run those big matches as you can get them. So in my mind, like you got to do Ronda and Becky, because you can't assume, or you can't really say with certainty, oh, we're going to be able to do it for WrestleMania 39. Like you still know anything can go wrong, can go sideways, things happen. I just don't know. She just had a baby. Maybe she'll decide she wants to, you have WrestleMania 38 and say, okay, peace out. I don't know. I'm not speaking of him. I'm not speaking for her. Anything can happen. Maybe she'll stick around for 2 years. Who even knows, right? Another point, as Nasha pointed out, was that Fox wanted Ronda back on SmackDown. Or I should say, wanted her on SmackDown. She was always on the Raw side of things last time around. So having her on SmackDown, having a nice ratings bump, that's what Stephen Chambers is saying here. WWE needs those ratings. Ironically, I think Raw would need her more in that sense. The running narrative is that Raw's ratings are not very good these days. But yeah, I guess, yeah, to me, seeing her come back, it's like cool, but it was pretty much like kind of, again, not confirmed, but very widely believed that would be happening. The report got out there, and then you had to assume that it would happen. So no, I'm glad she's back in that sense. I think it'll be good to have her star power, to get the buzz going. She is a star, you can't really dispute that. But I will say, for me at least, the verdict is out until we see if she does face Charlotte. We have to kind of wait and see how that build goes, how the match goes, what happens after that. In the moment, pretty cool moment. I like her. I respect what she brings to the table as a star. She's good in the ring. She's just got that distinct kind of it factor, I guess. But I don't know. We saw. I meant to mention Sonya Deville was in the match. She came out. The jacket was on. So remember, folks, if the jacket's on, she's a WWE official. But if the jacket's off, she's a competitor. So she came into the ring. I think she was number 11. So she comes to the ring, and then she like kind of flexes the jacket, and she's like, I'm going to leave the jacket on. I'm going to go to the commentary table. And she's sitting there doing commentary for a couple minutes. And then eventually she eliminated Cameron as part of her never-ending feud with Naomi. They've been feuding for months now. And then Naomi quickly comes out, starts fighting Sonya. And then Naomi eliminated her. Sonya was only actually in the match for 2 minutes. But then Sonya stayed at ringside. And I think it was not too long after she distracted. She actually eliminated Naomi by like kind of pulling her over the ropes illegally. It's like exactly. Steven saying, "Will this feud ever end?" It's like man, they've been feuding for so long. Naomi just had her like kind of triumphant win on SmackDown. It's like it's time to move on. She got the win on SmackDown, but now and granted she eliminated Sonya from the match, but then Sonya eliminates her. So really, it's like a net gain of 0. Like it feels like it's still going to go on and on. It's time to move on. I don't know what the payoff is. I thought in one way, like some people were starting to think that we might see Naomi win here, and have that be like, okay, she's been kind of getting the short end of the stick for so long now, and then to have it kind of pay off like this with a Royal Rumble win. No, she was in the match for, again, based on these match times here, 7 minutes. Not too bad. It's not like 1 minute like some of the other people, but yeah, this feud is long overdue to end so that they can move on. I hope there's not too much more after this. Maybe like at most draw it out to the Saudi Arabia show and then end it there. But it's time. It is time. Steven saying, they even used all names they have. They have like 7 women on the SmackDown roster, and Steven pointed out they had not used Xia Li. Now, as always, we don't know. Maybe there's a medical thing, or if they just didn't want to use her. I don't know. But likewise, one comment earlier was saying that DJ pointed out WrestleMania. They may have drawn from another source saying that reportedly Io Shirai, other NXT names were backstage only to be used as extras if there were failed COVID tests. And again, I say you couldn't find at least one space in this match, to have Dakota Kai, Io Shirai, somebody that actually is actively part, at least of the NXT roster, get a little bit of that rub, be in the spotlight, have the fans kind of, if they don't watch NXT, kind of unofficially meet them and get a little more familiar with them. No, I think that was one reason why I was a little frustrated, because I was really expecting to see some call-ups, because I've been talking about it for weeks now. Both rosters really need a shake-up. Thankfully, Ronda being back is a bit of a shake-up. Alexa Bliss coming back will help. But we need some fresh blood, and we need that. And Nesha, I mean, I don't want to say that the NXT talents, she's saying they're better than the legends. I think they are more useful in the sense of, they're it's an investment. Like you're putting them in the Rumble, you're introducing them to the fans, and then in theory, that kind of helps maybe grease the wheels when they actually get called up in theory. You can have both. You don't need to have 15, okay, including Ronda, 15 free agents or Hall of Famers or legends combined, and nobody from NXT. Definitely pointing out the men's side of things had no NXT talent whatsoever. We'll talk about that, but rolling right along here, that leads us to the It couple versus the Grit couple, Miz and Maurice. Actually, did I just skip over it? Yes, I think I did. Yes, I'm sorry. It was a very failed match. I'm sorry. So next up, we had Becky Lynch and Doudrop. This match got time. Doudrop looked good. It was a fine match, not bad. But the problem is, there was not a shadow of a doubt that Becky Lynch was gonna win here. Like I'm talking zero doubt, zero uncertainty. I'm sorry, like they're trying to build up Doudrop, but Becky Lynch was not gonna lose here, and she didn't. Like Doudrop won that match with Bianca and Liv Morgan. Thanks to Becky interfering. They tried to build it up. They had the tag team match. Doudrop got the win. They had the split screen interview. They're trying to build her up like this big deal. No, like I'm sorry. Like it was a good match. Doudrop looked good. I think this kind of helps her be a little more kind of legitimate in the sense that, hey, she kind of held her own with Becky, but yeah, like to me, they have to build up better contenders. Like you have to give me something of give me somebody where I would actually believe, hey, Becky could actually lose here. This was not the case. So, every action was good, but it's kind of just like I'm biding my time. Like, yeah, it's a good match, but all right, on to the next one, whatever. Especially again, in the back of my mind, those reports with Ronda Rousey, think about the Women's Royal Rumble. Like you knew Becky was not going to lose here. I'm sorry, I don't see it. Steven saying, probably right, that we might see a rematch with Becky and Doudrop on Raw. Thinking this match, he thought this match would start the show. I'm glad this didn't start the show. Roman and Seth, that was a great way to get the crowd started off hot. Like people loved that. Like the crowd was into that. I don't think the crowd was into this for the reasons I just said. There was no reason to think that Becky was going to lose. So any ability to invest in terms of really to get into a match as a fan, it's really not there, other than they're doing some cool moves and then they're telling a good story. But when the end result is pretty apparent, it's not the best. So DJ saying, what was really unexpected was the fire on the WrestleMania sign during the Becky Doudrop entrance here. You can see the smoke as well, and people watching the fire instead of the match. I didn't catch that, admittedly, because of what I just said, that I wasn't really going to do it anyway. I wasn't 100% watching this match. If that is the case, wow, that's literally maybe a dumpster fire in that case. But I good for Doudrop to be in the spot here. Good for Becky to, she's having a good reign. Another successful defense. Steven pointed out she did not cheat this time, so that's good. That's disappointing. I think that they really need, again, I think Alexa Bliss is a new name, but to reestablish her as a title contender could be really good. I'm seeing some rumors, at least, that Bianca Belair could be in line to face Becky at WrestleMania if they do Charlotte versus Ronda. And if they do that, Bianca has to win. They need to pay that off. They did Bianca so dirty at SummerSlam. So if that's the case, fine. But they already feuded right after Becky won the title, so that doesn't really excite me. And if they can tell about her story, I'd be more open to it. But okay, that's not great. And again, maybe that's why I would prefer at this point Becky versus Ronda, because that's more interesting. Yes, Nesh is pointing out, happy birthday to Becky as we record this. It is Sunday the 30th, so happy birthday to Becky. Hope she has a good one. But Nesh pointing out maybe other opportunities for Becky here. Maybe Becky versus Bayley. We need Bayley back again. Many people thought Bayley would be back. She was my pick to win the Rumble. She wasn't there, and she tweeted in the show, kind of hinting that she's on the road to coming back, but she wasn't there on Saturday. I don't know what her timetable is. I hope she's back in time for WrestleMania so she can have a WrestleMania match this year. She did not get one last year, so I think that'd be good in terms of other things they could do. In terms of, again, Becky and Bianca. That doesn't really excite me, but I like this comment from Stephen Chambers. Granted, it's a Saudi Arabia show. I'm not sure how much they can get away with, but Steven's saying maybe they do a women's chamber match so they can have some more options in there. I like that. I think that could be good as well. But yeah, I will say, just to circle back to the women's rumble, I forgot. I kind of cheered when some people got eliminated, and I'm not trying to sound bad, but there was part of me that thought Liv Morgan would win the Rumble. And I cheered when she got eliminated because I'm like, they haven't booked her strong enough to win, and I think that'd be setting her up for failure, and that's not fair to her. And there's some other people as well where I was like, thank goodness I did not want them to win, at least the way they're being booked right now. And that also held true in the men's rumble as well. So no knock on anybody, but there are certain obvious paths forward I thought they could go in both rumbles, and they didn't. Other than the big ones, other than the obvious winners, there are other potential ones where I was like, I could see them doing that, and they didn't do that. They zigged when they zagged. I'm glad they didn't zig, but Becky winning, very obvious. It was a fine match. It was not offensively bad or anything. I'm just saying it was very predictable, and that's something I never like to see. Something I did enjoy seeing obviously was Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar. This was a very good match. This was I think it was MVP during an interview compared it to a battle of kaijus, like two Godzillas or Godzilla versus King Kong, and that's what it was. These two guys, absolute monsters, tearing each other to pieces. Bobby speared himself through the barricade like he was charging Brock, and Brock moved out of the way. Brock took Bobby to Suplex City. Bobby took Brock along with him, gave him an Uber to Suplex City, if you will. These two guys are great. They're both powerhouses. I like them a lot. This is obviously a dream match. A lot of people, myself included, were very excited to see how it go. I had no idea how they're going to get out of this. You had to figure there'd be some shenanigans, something. And I headed into the show thinking, okay. And I talked about this with Robert on the SmackDown show this past week. You had to figure Roman or Brock is going to lose, and one of them is going to win the Rumble. Because otherwise, I did not see a single person on the roster that could really believably win the Men's Royal Rumble. So, show opens, Roman retains. You had to figure one of them would lose the title. Roman lost the match, retains the title. So now I entered this match not 100% convinced, but feeling pretty good that, okay, Brock is going to lose. Something's going to happen. And yes, National pointing out, you knew the Roman Reigns was going to get involved. You had to figure if there would be shenanigans, it would be Roman Reigns. So it's an epic battle of these two powerhouses. There's a partial ref bump, and then I'm like, all right, that ref's going down. So he gets kind of squashed in the corner. Stephen Chambers read my mind here. Seeing when that ref got hurt, he knew Roman was going to get in the match. And yes, Heyman, as he says, Heyman left with Roman. So the ref kind of got bumped in the corner a little bit, but that wasn't good enough. Then Brock F5'd Bobby into the ref, took him out. He's down for the count. at that point, you knew something was going down. So Roman comes to the ring. They did a good job focusing on the ring. They didn't just like show him running down the ramp or anything. The crowd's going crazy. Roman enters the ring. He spears Brock. It's a big moment. And then Roman Reigns turns to Paul Heyman and gestures for the WWE Championship that Brock Lesnar holds. And Paul Heyman, who just a couple weeks ago said that Roman Reigns got COVID out of karma, hands Reigns the title and helps Reigns put Lesnar down. Reigns hits Lesnar with that title. And then Lashley pins Lesnar for the title. Bobby Lashley is once again the WWE champion. So, and that's to point out that Heyman was the wild part. Now, ironically, when Reigns first quote unquote fired Heyman, a lot of people figured that this would happen. And then I just kind of like put that on the back burner. I thought, wow, Heyman and Lesnar are so good together. They've got something really good going. They just really click. It's good to have them back together. It's been fun. The crowd's really into it. It's a great time. I just kind of overlooked that theory that it's probably a swerve. It's probably all a ruse, and they're gonna turn on him anyway. And there you go. Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman back together yet again. It was all part of the plan. It's all coming together. So that made it fun. Where it was like, oh, okay. I admittedly, again, my own forgetfulness, I guess, kind of like, or maybe my tunnel vision helped me kind of like overlook that. There are many times where I overthink things, and I'm like, oh, that's obviously going to happen. And then when it does happen, it's a little less enjoyable. Having that kind of the blind design of like, hey, I'm enjoying this, is fun, and then oh, now Heyman is with Roman again. I thought that actually was pretty well done. And the Heyman sold very well. He looked like shocked to see Roman, and then he betrayed Lesnar, and it was good. So of course, we'll talk about the Rumble, but that sets the stage. Once that happened, you just knew, like, okay, that's where they're going. They're gonna do Roman and Brock at WrestleMania. We'll talk about it in a minute. Don't want to overlook the other match on this card, but at least sticking to this match and what we saw here, that was a very fun swerve. I liked it. But obviously, we know where we feel pretty certain where Lesnar and Reigns are going to go. They're going to face each other at WrestleMania. Much less certain about what's next for Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley wins this, and I'm sitting here like, well, what are they going to do with him? And I don't know. I don't know. Like, is it going to be Biggie? Is it going to be Seth? Like, I don't know. Drew McIntyre is on SmackDown, so that's not an option. Like, I really don't know. It's interesting. They could do. I mean, they could do Seth. They could do Kevin Owens, but that he's a heel. Biggie, same thing with Biggie. I was talking about Bianca and Becky earlier. Same thing with Bobby and Biggie. We just saw them feud. We just saw Biggie cash in on Bobby, so that makes sense to go back to that. But that's not really exciting. That's not really a WrestleMania match. They're both great. I love them both, but that doesn't really do it for me. I've seen this one comment from Nestor. This is like becoming a little more common of a prediction, and I like it, saying that it could be AJ Styles. AJ Styles, it's far past time that he gets back in the title scene here. I would like to see that. How they get there, I don't know. And on the flip side, I would very much like to see AJ face Edge. So I'd be good with either, but I really hope we get to see AJ and Edge at some point before Edge walks away for the last time. But at this point, especially because of these uncertainties, I definitely have to agree with Steven saying that, we will probably get the men's chamber to determine Lashley's challenger at the Elimination Chamber. I think that would make sense. And who wins that? AJ Styles would make sense. Big E, Rollins or Owens. Deja pointed out, yes, this was overlooked, and I didn't catch it on admittedly. They officially moved Big E back to SmackDown. So if that is the case, and as it seemed official, so yeah, that's something. Big E back to SmackDown, and so Raw losing definitely someone who at least should be one of its top stars by now. They did Big E wrong, and it remains very, very frustrating for me. Nesh pointing out, I was mentioning AJ and Edge. Well, why not Edge versus Bobby? I think that'd be pretty darn cool. But at the same time, I mean, Edge lost a title match at WrestleMania last year. Do I really want to see him lose another one this year? He did an interview, right? I think it was maybe Wednesday or Friday with Sports Illustrated, saying he doesn't really need another title reign. Like, how much would one more title reign really mean? And if he thinks that, like, on a personal level, it's hard to disagree. I've always wanted to see him have one more run. since he came back. I think that'd be really, really cool. But at the same time, like he's right. Like how much will one more title reign really, really, really do for him? So I like that option. I think AJ would make sense. I'm very curious to see what happens there. And again, unlike the SmackDown side of things, there's definitely unpredictability there where it's like, wow, I really don't know who's going to win that one. So, I really don't know what's going to happen there. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Steven Taylor's bringing up Randy Orton, maybe. Well, Randy Orton, I think his stance is going to be full with Riddle. Potentially, we haven't officially seen them split up yet, but I've got to think that's coming sooner rather than later. Flip side, on the bright note, with Biggie moving back to SmackDown, yes, Nesh pointing out that officially means the New Day is back together. So as much as I'm frustrated that Biggie, they didn't really do right with his WWE title reign, I can't complain. The New Day back together, they're gold. They are great. I love New Day. So as a very thick silver lining, I guess that's a very, very good thing to see. I don't know. DJ is saying Rick Boogs, could challenge potentially. Don't know about that. Good point out. Good call out here with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn got screwed over with his Universal title shot, so I think he would have a valid complaint as well. But Sami Zayn, his dance card might be full with a certain Johnny Knoxville. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. But last up here, do you want to talk about the It couple versus the Grit couple, Miz and Maurice versus Edge and Beth Phoenix? This was very fun. It got some time. This was, it felt longer, 12 minutes apparently, with the same match times I listed before. I like this. There was one really, really good near fall near the end where Maurice kind of hit, I think she hit Beth with her purse or something, and then Miz hit the School Crushing finale. It was a very good, it got me. I was like, oh wow, Miz and Maurice are going to win, and they didn't. And there's good storytelling. Beth powerbombed Miz at one point. I like it a lot. I think a lot of people were expecting Miz and Maurice to win, given Miz lost at day one. At the same time, I was like, we don't know if Beth's going to keep wrestling, so you kind of had to figure, bring her back for a nice kind of like fairy tale. If this, I don't know, at least right now, like your last match for now, ? I think that makes sense. I don't know if she's going to keep wrestling. She did an interview before the show Muscle and Fitness, where she said this for her future, she never closes any doors. She doesn't want to like change her mind and they get called hypocrite. So we don't know what she's going to do in the future. So I think it would make sense to kind of have her and Edge win this one. A nice little like fairy tale kind of thing there. I like it a lot, but it was happy. It was a happy moment. Good. It was good for Miz and Maurice to be back together in the ring as well. I think they're great together. So either way, I think I would have been happy with whoever won. But I was happy with Edge and Beth winning, because I think Edge needed the win so that we were talking about a minute ago. Maybe he goes on to challenge for the title, and that way he's got this kind of win under his belt. Or not to say that the same could have been true for the Miz, but I'm always happy. Give Edge these wins, because it feels like he loses a lot of these kind of high-profile matches. He lost Roman. He lost Randy at Backlash way back when. But I think it was good. It was good to see him pick up a win here with Beth by his side. Very, very cool. I thought it was a good match. I liked it. Again, some good near falls, some good segments. They did Edge and Beth to a double spear at one point, so that was kind of cool as well. That was, and then we saw Edge and Beth do simultaneous glam slams for the win. It was fun, good old fashioned fun. I liked it. But Steven saying that he liked the mixed tag match. It was fun. You can't really complain about it. Something we can't complain about, folks, is the men's Royal Rumble match. That brings us to the main event here. The men's Royal Rumble match. Now I already kind of gave it away. Yes, Brock Lesnar did win, but I do want to run through at least first the noteworthy entrance here. So AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura were the first two entrants. Of course, they have a lot of history from the New Japan days, so that was kind of cool there. Very glad to see Shinsuke Nakamura back in action. He was out for a while due to a hand injury. He had turned into Rick Boogs' manager. So glad to see the Intercontinental Champion is actually wrestling again, so that's always good. But folks, this match, let me tell you, Steven, if he's talking about me, talking about the rants, yes. And folks, I have thoughts on this match, don't you worry. So we had AJ and Shinsuke begin the match. Folks, we had, as again mentioned, including Ronda Rousey, we had 15 free agents, Hall of Famers, veterans, whatever you want to call them, in the women's match. We had, including Johnny Knoxville, 3. We had 3 surprise entrants in this match, and they weren't really exciting. We had Johnny Knoxville, who was known ahead of time, so technically two actually surprising entrants. And who were they? They were Bad Bunny and Shane McMahon. And Bad Bunny coming out, that one, they kind of gave away. I think they officially tweeted before this, or maybe it was like during the kickoff show, Bad Bunny was backstage with The Undertaker, who was there for Michelle McCool, his wife. So, and I heard some rumor, maybe some vague rumors that Bad Bunny might be involved even before that. Bad Bunny, he was great at WrestleMania last year. I don't really want a sequel. Like, it's I don't know. I got the feeling that this is leading to more. He wound up eliminating Dolph Ziggler, and so I think he got 2 eliminations. He eliminated Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus. He eliminated Sheamus. Bad Bunny eliminated former world champion Sheamus. So yes, and that's point out, wasn't expecting him, so that's good. He was a surprise. Not exactly a good one. I mean, I'm not trying to bash. I didn't dislike his run last year. I thought he did great. He did a Canadian Destroyer. He did great last year. I just again, they couldn't have. That was the space you could have given to an NXT guy. A Pete Dunne, a Tommaso Ciampa, Roderick Strong, somebody again that we're talking about that investment and that kind of more long-term. I'm not trying to say usefulness. I'm not trying to bash the guy. I'm not saying that at all. It's a cool moment. He did a Destroyer. He did great last year. He seems like a good dude, but I wasn't thrilled with it. But something I was less thrilled with, and maybe at least in some ways, Shane McMahon was back. And I should say, I was also not a fan of the way this was booked. Shane McMahon and Bad Bunny were, I think, if not in the final four, they were in the last couple. So they outlasted. I think Biggie got unceremoniously tossed out. And I think some other pretty big names. I think Randy Orton got tossed out as well before they did, and that was crazy. Randy Orton was number 29, folks. He lasted 2 minutes in his hometown. They did Randy Orton dirty. That was not him getting tossed out pretty quickly. Biggie got tossed out pretty darn quickly as well. He lasted 6 minutes. Didn't eliminate anybody either. Not a fan of that. I thought this is just the whole match was not very booked very well for my liking. I mean, again, Bad Bunny, not trying to knock him, and Shane McMahon, it was cool because Shane hasn't been around in a while, but I'm not exactly thrilled to see him back. I don't know. DJ pointing out that WWE announced Bad Bunny won't be at WrestleMania. I'll have to double check on that. I didn't see that myself, but if that's true, that's weird. They're I guess they wanted to kind of cover their butts and say, okay, he won't be WrestleMania. Don't worry. I don't know. He eliminated Dolph, and it felt like something there. And I just got this feeling he might have a match at the Saudi show or something. I could be wrong, but yeah, I don't know. Especially if there's not a follow up to it. If it was just a cameo, a one-off return, that's not great. DJ says that it's on his Facebook page. I will double check that. So again, I did not see that myself. Steven saying, if we're talking about long-term booking, hey, why not Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest? Fine. I think there's a history there. Maybe Bad Bunny will provoke Damian's inner Damian and make that happen. There's a promo, I think it was during the kickoff show, where Damian just gave this really cringy promo about his inner Damian. I was like, don't wake him up. I was like, what is this, man? What is this? Again, I say it every week. There was a time I really thought Damian Priest would be the breakout star on Raw, and he was. And they have just saddled him with such a bad gimmick. It's not good. It's not good. Definitely this comment from Stephen Chambers saying he did not like the men's Rumble match. No Finn Balor, no Elias, but Elias is dead, mind you. And no Veer. Veer has not come yet. The poor man has not come yet. Folks, we just pull one out for Veer. He's been trying so hard. He's trying to come for so long. It's not happening for him. But man, and he's he really did not like how Biggie and Kofi, folks, Kofi Kingston. I there's so much happening. I've looked this. Kofi Kingston, the poor guy. As always, we always see Kofi do some crazy stuff at the Rumble. Gravity failed this man. Kofi went for his classic, crazy escape thing. And he landed on the security barricade, but his feet hit the ground by total accident. I saw a report from Mike Johnson and PW Insider noting that, quote, the Kofi Kingston elimination was, as you probably guessed, completely legitimate and accidental as gravity decided not to work with him. So and that's what it looked like. It looked like he was trying to land on the barricade and do his usual crazy thing, but his feet hit the ground. So he got eliminated by accident. That stinks, man. I felt so bad for him. Kofi always does so much great stuff. I felt so bad for him. That was really disappointing. Another thing I want to touch on, Steven brought up Finn Balor. Finn Balor, there was one report today from, I think it was WrestleVotes, saying that Finn is currently out of the country. And then Finn tweeted, there was either a tweet or an Instagram. He's out of the country. I don't know exactly where, but he himself tweeted a photo where he's at a pub somewhere, maybe Ireland or something. He's not in the country. That must seems pretty clear. So, he literally couldn't be there. Cesaro left out of the match, and nobody seems to know why. Don't know what's happening there. Again, Elias, they literally said Elias is dead, so he has not been seen since. And I don't know what's going on there. And as I said, Veer, I'm agreeing with Stevens. Veer has not come yet. The poor man, hopefully gets the opportunity to come at some point soon. I feel so bad for him. Some more noteworthy omissions. DJ putting out no Jinder Mahal, no Shanky. Yeah, some odd people got left out here. Yeah, nobody from NXT. Not good. Ness pointing out that Finn is visiting family. It's so good for him. Again, they're not doing right by him anyway. He's been booked pretty poorly at this point, which is really disappointing. I'm a big fan of his. I want better for him, but that's not happening for him right now. Hopefully that it turns around and it gets better. But again, I'm noting Mike Johnson from PW Insider. He says that Xavier Woods was backstage, but they didn't use him. There's also a report that apparently the men's Rumble match changed 20 times during kind of the lead up to the show, or maybe like during the show. I'm trying to see exactly what he said. Got changed over the course of the day prior to the pay-per-view. So a lot of last-minute changes here, a lot of things really not like there are a lot of changes. DJ pointing out, bringing up King Woods. King Woods was, again, per Mike Johnson of PW Insider, he was backstage, but he was not part of the match. So a little interesting there that he was not involved. DJ pointed out that Mustafa Ali, he requested his release. He said he did not want to be in it. So pretty safe to say, if you say you don't want to be in the match, they're not going to put you in the match by and large. So pretty safe to say that that was pretty easy to call in that sense. But another report from Mike Johnson said that there was just a feeling of general kind of downness. People were disappointed because the plans kept changing. It was such a whirlwind, and it was hard to really plan things, plan spots, plan interactions, everything. And that apparently that was the case for both Rumble matches. So that was maybe why both matches kind of came across a little lackluster in some ways, and that's no fault of the talent. Unfortunately, that is I'm not trying to say the fault of the company, but it's kind of the fault of the company if you're changing the plans so much that it's this whirlwind and people are feeling kind of frazzled and going crazy because you're trying to plan this thing and changing your mind so much. But again, at this point, that's kind of the norm here in WWE, at least based on what we hear in various reports. So can't even say that's surprising, but of course, Brock Lesnar did win. It came down to Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre. Drew did return in this match. He's been out with an injury for a while due to Happy Core Madcap Moss. Drew thankfully eliminated them both and then just brutally attacked them both ringside. So much so that I kind of thought oh, is he going to beat him up so much that Madcap Moss just goes away and gets repackaged? Probably not. I had a brief hope. Probably not going to happen. But Drew McIntyre being back is good in terms of star power. SmackDown was a little lacking. It's interesting to think that Drew being back, he got Roman there. That was one thing that was that had been reported to be on the table. Maybe they'll do that at some point, or maybe they'll hold it off. I don't know exactly what the plan is there, barring maybe Drew versus Corbin WrestleMania, but that's not really exciting. But Drew's back, so that's good. I think that's good for the general depth of the roster, the general star power. Ness was asking if Woods has been cleared to return. He was backstage. I know he's been on the road with them. I haven't heard explicitly if he's been cleared, but I'd have to kind of assume so. But I'm not sure, so I don't want to mislead anybody either way. But Nez went out. Yeah, I briefly thought it might be AJ coming out number one, and he actually did the Shawn Michaels kind of the flex pose. So I thought he would kind of pay tribute to Shawn Michaels by winning from the number one spot. That would be kind of cool. He did not. He was eliminated by as you probably may have guessed, Madcap Moss. Madcap Moss eliminated AJ Styles. That was the point of the match where I was like, wow, this is not good, folks. This is not good. Buckle up. Yeah, and then Brock won. The second Brock, like I already knew Brock was going to come out. Like I felt it in my bones, and then Brock came out. Steven saying when Brock was number 30, you knew it was over. You knew Brock was going to win. There's no like Drew McIntyre. It wasn't going to be Drew. I think it came down to Drew, Brock, and Shane McMahon. It was kind of weird. Nesh saying that Shane that almost did do as expected. He was dominant. I'm looking up right now. Almost eliminated 3 guys. That's kind of lame, but he got eliminated by like 8 or 9 guys. I should mention that Johnny Knoxville got eliminated by Sami Zayn, but then he distracted Sami. So, and they both cut promos online after the match, and they made it very, very clear they're not done with each other yet. And I kind of got the impression we might see them face off in WrestleMania, which is interesting. But all right, all right, that's the thing, I guess. But yeah, you just knew that Brock was going to win. And that's just like, it's not exciting to me. It's not, because A, you knew what was happening. B, they did not build anybody else remotely possible to be a true strong contender to win this match. So it really felt just kind of inevitable. And it happened. So then the show ends, Brock standing tall. Like, it's not exciting. It's not, didn't do it for me. Like, and now we're on a very clear path forward where you pretty much know that Brock is going to challenge Roman because Roman directly cost him the title, and Paul turned on him. So he's probably going to say, hey, I want revenge on both of you. There you go. And that's not really exciting. Like, I'm sure the storyline's going to be good, but and I'm curious to see what happens with the match itself. I feel like Brock needs to get his win back because Roman beat him at Crown Jewel, but to have Brock be the guy that finally beats Roman, that's not great. You know, like not really feeling it. And thankfully on the Raw side, Bobby Lashley, that's more unpredictable. But Nesha Kurz is saying that, yeah, she does not want to see Brock versus Roman again. I wouldn't go as far as say that I don't want to see it. I feel very apathetic towards it, where it's like, you know, yeah, it's the biggest match they can really do at this point, but that doesn't mean it's exciting in a weird way. I know that sounds contradictory, but yeah, entering the show, like feeling pretty certain in my bones that would happen, and then having it happen, it doesn't really make for a fun viewing experience. So next point, we don't need it. No, we don't need it. What we need as fans, what they need to do as a company, we need new stars to cheer. They need to build new stars, and they need to give us new stars, because otherwise we're just going to keep on going with this. Kevin Durgan, I like this comment saying the men's rumble was slow and everyone looked lost. I mean, yeah, as I mentioned the report a minute ago, if they constantly were like rebooking it and changing things around, I would imagine that everyone did feel lost, and that was actually the kind of the general feeling. But there you have it, folks. That's the Rumble. Brock Lesnar won, and I'm not a betting man, but if I had to bet money, I would bet pretty confidently that Brock Lesnar is going to face Roman. At least based on a report that Ronda is going to face Charlotte, although that could obviously change. I hope that's that they changed their mind and that they wind up doing Ronda versus Becky. I think that's a much bigger match. But we're on road to WrestleMania. There you have it. I mean, that's just saying 62 days. I'm curious to hear what you all think of the show, kind of a scale, our usual scale of 1 to 10. 1 being absolutely awful, 10 being wonderful, phenomenal, to borrow from AJ Styles. For me, it's tough. I thought Roman and Seth was really, really good. I thought, I guess that was that. I thought that was very, very good. But yeah, I was really let down. I can't lie. I can't lie to you guys. Now giving it a 6. If we're giving, we always think of the curve. We always think of the curve for Raw, for the curve of a premium live event. Now, as they're called, I would say a 6. Maybe it's like no more than a 6.5. Like if I really wanted to like really praise the storytelling that they did for Roman and Seth, and I thought that was fun, I cannot go higher than 6.5. I just really, yeah, Nesha, 100%. Saying she's so disappointed. It's her favorite pay-per-view, and I was let down. Nesha, on behalf of WWE, I am so sorry. I was let down as well. It stinks, man. This is the road to WrestleMania. Officially, technically, like kind of the Kickstarter to road to WrestleMania. Kevin agreeing with a 6.5. DJ a little higher with a 7.3, saying Ronda looks like she hasn't missed a step. Ronda look good. Ronda look good. It's even saying a 6.5 is generous. I'm trying to like not be too harsh, but realistically, I'm more of a 6. If I wanted to lean more heavily on what I liked, I would 6.5. If I want to lean more on what I didn't like, a 6 will be generous in my mind. But Steven also gives 6.5. Mike with an 8. Man, but this doesn't, to me at least, sitting here today, it does not set the precedent for a good road to WrestleMania, or not good in terms of a very exciting and fun road to WrestleMania. Like, as always, I can already see the matches themselves are going to be good. You see the prospect of Brock and Roman Reigns, Charlotte and Ronda, maybe. But starting off with the official first stop on the road to WrestleMania with this, it's not very exciting. It definitely was a letdown to me, and I think this is very much the general sentiment going around, and that it's disappointing. It is very disappointing. I hope things get better from here on out. We know that we have Elimination Chamber just about 3 weeks from now, so hopefully that's better. Hopefully that'll be more exciting, more compelling. Mike already with some other kind of WrestleMania matches here. Yeah, Lita and Sasha, that'd be cool. Edge versus AJ Styles. They have options for WrestleMania matches that would be good. That could make this road to WrestleMania very fun. It's up to them to do it. I think those are both very good options. So I would like to see either one. Man, yeah. I admittedly, I can't even lie to you guys. I'm let down. I'm disappointed. I was hoping to feel more excited. Exactly. Even another one here. Yes, we had Mickie James with the Forbidden Door stuff, and everybody, and including myself, was like, oh, there was also a report that they were reportedly considering more like kind of Forbidden Door entrance. That didn't happen. So for weeks we're like, oh, are we going to see a guy like Impact World Champion Moose, or a former WWE star like Matt Cardona, or somebody? Nothing. Just Mickie James. I very much hope that will be the start of something of more collaboration, but at least last night it was not, and that's a bummer. I hope that does reflect more of a willingness to work with the companies, but time will tell on that one. Not necessarily only expected Mickie. I mean, again, I was kind of hoping. Yeah, I can't say they let us to believe that I think would happen, but I was hoping we'd see more, and we didn't. But again, I say a 6, maybe a tick higher if I really want to be leaning on some of the some of the better parts of the show, but I can't go higher than 6.5. Terrell Diggs saying hi. Hello, Terrell. Thank you for joining us. Or Terrell, I'm sorry for not either one. Thank you for joining us. I always appreciate all your support coming here and talking about this wild world of wrestling, even with the show as disappointing as the Rumble was. Not just saying that 6 is being nice. I am being nice. I think, it's honestly probably lower than 6. I ended the show and I was like, not good. Terrell was asking us what I thought. I did not think it was good, my friend. I thought it was pretty disappointing, and I was hoping for a lot more. I thought it was a letdown, and I'm very much hopeful that it'll get better from here on out. But speaking of, they're already kind of loading up for the Road to WrestleMania tomorrow night on Raw. We will see Brock Lesnar. We'll see Ronda Rousey. We'll see the new WWE champion Bobby Lashley. So hopefully they can kind of take this bit of a dud. And I tweeted, I thought the men's match, the men's Roman match, was a dud, and the whole show. Other than Roman and Seth, Edge and Beth versus doesn't make sense good as well. I'm not going to knock that one too much, but a bit of a dud. I hope they can kind of take what happened at the show in terms of the winners and they can make, as the classic saying goes, chicken salad out of what. But with that being said, let's just mention Raw. And so officially on to the next one, onto the road to WrestleMania here. So with that being said, John and I will be back here tomorrow night, Monday night on the Raw post show. Make sure to tune on that one. Otherwise, if for any NXT fans that are left, tune in for our NXT post show where we try to stomach the experience known as NXT 2.0. Yes, we'll be back for Raw tomorrow, for NXT on Tuesday, and not sure about SmackDown this week. There will be a GCW show, but usually, schedule permitting, Robert and I are here on Fridays to talk about Friday Night SmackDown. Otherwise, the two Dynamite Dudes on our page cover all things AEW. Just make sure to, if you're into that, as I am, make sure to check that out. Those two guys do a great job covering the wonderful world of AEW. I will say I saw a lot of support for AEW after the Rumble last night, maybe rightfully so. DJ's asking when W is moving to Sci-Fi for 2 weeks. I think that is next week and the week after. I seem to remember that it's 2 weeks in February. So tomorrow is the last day of January. So barring me being way off, I think that That's the next week that we got for that. I know I wrote that up for WrestleZone, so I can send you the link if need be. But next point, it's the 7th. That should be next week as well. So yes. With that being said, that was our Rumble. I tried. I thank you all for tuning in and sharing your thoughts and your feelings. I'm sorry it was so disappointing. I am with you. I agree. Here's hoping that Raw and from here on out will be better. But with that being said, thank you all so much for listening. I support you all. I thank you all for supporting us and me so very much. It means so very, very much to me. And that being said, hopefully the next one's better. Thank you all for sharing your thoughts on this one. But with that being said, whether it's a disappointing show like the Rumble or a very fun show or everything in between, we try to do one thing above all other WrestleZone, and that is to enjoy wrestling. Thanks for listening, everybody.